This Baume and Mercier chronograph is another customer watch on the bench, and boy, this one's a wild ride. It's riddled with problems, broken and missing parts. I even sing a song about it. I'll answer all the burning questions like, will I fix all the issues? How much arm cheese is stuck between the lugs? And will I ever dare sing another song on YouTube? Enjoy. It looks to be what I consider decent vintage condition. A bit of plating is worn, but not by a lot. The crystal is cracked, but that's not the end of the world. Plenty of arm cheese between the lugs. The Landeron 48 movement looks pretty clean, but it appears the balance is loose. That means the staff pivots are broken. Fortunately, I do have a spare Landeron 48 staff lying around. Looking it over some more, I noticed one of the hammer plate screws is missing. This is causing the hammer cam jumper spring to slide underneath it. And it also appears to be missing its flyback lever spring. Together, these would prevent any kind of operation of the chronograph subsystems. The pushers don't work at all. Well, let's get to it. Disassembly starts with removing the hands. This is a front loader. Removing the movement from the case involves loosening the setting lever screw, which frees the stem. Then, the case screws can be removed. And finally, I loosen the operating lever and flyback lever screws so that the pushers have a little more free play. This makes it easier to maneuver the movement out of the front of the case. The two dial foot screws are accessible through the bridge plates. They are loosened up so the dial can be separated and set aside for safekeeping. For now, I'll just remove the hour wheel and cannon pinion. I'll wait to remove the keyless works until some point after I'm able to let down the main spring. The balance assembly is removed, and now I'll begin on disassembling the chronograph subsystem, starting with the chronograph runner bridge. The runner is removed, followed by the removal of the coupling clutch and its associated spring. This is a Presto number 3, which is a special puller designed for 5-spoke wheels. The jaws fit nicely around the spokes, making for a safe uninstall of the wheel. The hammer and its spring are now removed, followed by the hammer cam jumper spring and then the flyback lever. Now the operating lever is removed, which allows access to remove the sliding gear, minute recorder wheel, and its associated jumper spring. With the chronograph subsystem out of the way, it's time to disassemble the train of wheels, but first, I'll need to let down the main spring. The Landeron 48 provides a hole allowing access to the click. The pallet bridge and pallet fork are removed, followed by the train wheel bridge and barrel bridge. Beneath the barrel bridge are the crown wheel and click, which I'll remove for cleaning as well. The second, third, fourth, and escape wheels are removed, followed by the mainspring barrel. All that is left now is the keyless works. The stem is removed along with the winding pinion, sliding clutch, and setting lever screw. Removing the setting lever spring provides access to the setting lever, yoke spring, yoke, minute wheel, and setting gear. The lower balance cap jewel is removed, so the cleaner has better access through the hole jewel. Upon removing the ratchet wheel from the barrel arbor, I can now pop off the lid and gently unwind the main spring out of the barrel. The hairspring stud is removed and the regulator is opened. That allows me to uninstall the balance wheel. Finally, the upper cap jewel is removed for cleaning as well. As mentioned from the start, the screw around which the hammer rotates is missing from the movement. The screw, when tightened down, cannot press on the hammer. It should allow it to move freely, but without excessive vertical play either, otherwise the cam operation will be impacted. I'll create the shank and thread portion by turning down some stock blued steel rod. The smallest section will be threaded, and the next larger section was designed to be slightly taller than the thickness of the hammer. This way, when the screw is fully tightened, the head of the screw will still clear it. It so happens that the other hammer screw has the same threading I need. I used it to find the perfectly sized die on this Swiss Martin Fill screw plate. With the help of the tailstock, I can ensure the screw plate is held square against the work as threading is started. This part is sped up, but standard practice is to go slow, occasionally rotating the tool backwards to clear the threads before cutting the next section. Finally, the section is parted away from the rest of the stock, and I use this thin file to cut the slot head in the head of the screw. Perhaps one day I'll own a screw head polisher. It won't win any beauty contests, but it'll do the job. A little Mobius D5 is applied to the base of the mainspring barrel before the spring is reinstalled. The spring is carefully wound into the holder and then ejected into the barrel. A bit of D5 is placed on the arbor where the cap is seated, and I'll also apply some lubrication to the other side as well. The lower balance cap jewel is lubricated with a drop of Mobius 9010. A small bit of Molykote DX grease is applied to the winding works. A piece of Rodico comes in handy here to align all the pieces while inserting the stem. Lubricant is applied to the setting screw hole in preparation for the installation of the setting lever. D5 is applied to the high friction contact points of the keyless works. The setting gear is placed and then the yoke is installed with its respective spring. The minute wheel is then placed, followed by the installation of the setting lever spring. A bit of grease is used where the spring contacts the setting lever post. D5 lubricates the barrel arbor bushing of the main plate. Now to prepare the barrel bridge for installation by first reinstalling the crown wheel, which is held in place by the crown wheel seat. Finally, the click is reinstalled. The escape wheel, fourth wheel, third wheel, and second wheels are placed in their respective positions on the main plate. With the wheels in position, the barrel bridge is carefully lowered. The setting lever screw, barrel arbor, second and third wheel pivots are aligned during this step. Next, the train wheel bridge is installed over the fourth wheel and escape wheel. Again, I'm careful to align both upper and lower pivots before tightening down the plate. Mobius 941 is used to lubricate the tips of the pallet stones that slide against the faces of the escape wheel teeth. The pallet fork is fitted to the plate, ensuring the pivots are aligned before screwing down the bridge. Mobius 9010 is used on the upper balance cap jewel. On to the balance staff. Since it uses a double roller, I'll need to remove it using my trusty Rex roller removal tool. The teeth of the Rex tool are held at the base while the rest of the balance is tapped free of the roller. The next step is to free the staff from the balance wheel, which is done with the help of the K&D staff removal tool. Using this tool prevents the arms from deforming as the staff is punched out. The new staff is riveted into place using a series of taps from a dome-faced punch, followed by taps from a flat-faced punch. Finally, the safety roller is reinstalled in the same orientation as it was before it was removed. I'll still perform a quick poise check to ensure no further adjustments are needed. Good poise is a requirement for positional accuracy. I'm ensuring the wheel coasts to a stop without any wide oscillations around a heavy spot. The hairspring, on the other hand, is a bit of a bummer. Because of a deformation at the terminal curve, the collet is not properly centered around the hole jewel, and it's certainly out of flat. I've seen worse, though, and this is repairable. All it takes is a couple of firm tweezers and a few nudges in the right spots. For this hairspring, the terminal curve must sit further away from the rest of the coil in order to align with the regulator pins. Much better. This isn't good. There's no friction at all between the collet and the staff. I'll see this sometimes with replacement staffs where one of the dimensions isn't quite correct. The way to fix this is to reduce the size of the collet using this concave punch, which will bend it closed when pressed on top of it. Now it'll have a nice firm fit to the collet seat. The stud is secured using a small set screw, and the regulator guard is twisted shut. Now the balance assembly is complete. The center wheel pivot is oiled with Mobius D5. All other train wheel pivots are lubricated with Mobius 9010. After providing a few winds to the main spring, I can install the balance and see this movement run after who knows how many decades. With the core movement running, I can now begin reassembling the chronograph subsystem, starting with the minute recorder jumper. The minute recorder actually came apart in the wash. No harm done though, the heart just needs to be screwed back onto it. Now the minute recorder and sliding gear can be fitted down to the movement. Unless otherwise stated, all the high friction surfaces here are lubricated with Mobius D5. The operating lever is fitted into the slot of the start pusher and screwed into place. The stop reset pusher is inserted along with its flyback lever, and while I'm over here, the hammer cam jumper spring. The hammer can now be situated with those components, and I can put the new screw to use. I apply a small amount of DX grease where the jumper spring slides back and forth along the cam. The sliding gear spring is placed overhanging the movement. With the screw installed by a few threads, I can then situate the end of the spring into the slot, placing tension on it before finally tightening the screw the rest of the way. The driving wheel is now pressed over the fourth wheel arbor, and next I'll install the spring for the horizontal clutch lever. The clutch wheel is installed into the lever and lubricated with Mobius 9010. Before the whole lever is assembled and fitted onto the movement. Now the chronograph runner can be reinstalled through the center wheel arbor. The friction spring provides enough affirmative pressure against the chronograph runner bridge, which is being installed now. This prevents the sweep seconds hand from appearing jittery or bounce around during operation. Mobius 9010 is used to lubricate these pivots as well. That's right, I'm still missing a spring.
searching away. Guess I'm gonna make a part today. Missing parts. Missing parts. Breaks my heart. Oh, what will I do? Needless to say, I've searched cousins and eBay, searching away. All I found costs an arm and a leg. So say after me, bottle fries not gonna make me beg. Missing parts. Missing parts. Breaks my heart. Oh, what will I do? Oh, what will I do?
Almost ready for the dial, but first I install the cannon pinion, hour wheel, and the dial washer. The dial feet are secured once again with the two screws that protrude vertically through the plates. The stem is removed in preparation for casing the movement. Before I do, I'm going to have to sort this out. The case appears to be suffering from a bad case of arm cheese. I haven't yet found an elegant way to fit one of these chronograph movements into its case. For this one, I decided to remove one of the pushers and loosen the lever screws to make it easier to slide in. Then the case screws can be installed, and I'll be sure to retighten any lever screws I have loosened up. The stem is reinstalled by tightening the setting lever screw. The hour, minute, and subseconds hand are reinstalled. For the minute recorder hand, I'm installing it while depressing the reset pusher. Doing so holds the hammer against the heart, locking the wheel in place so it doesn't twist around while I'm trying to press on the hand. A similar process is used for the sweep second hand, but due to its very tight fit, I need to provide support under the chronograph runner bridge while it's being pressed on. The hand needs to be tight since it can't be overcome by the fast-moving reset action. Resetting from the 6 o'clock position produces the most load on the hand, so I'll give it a quick check to ensure it resets to 12. This watch will get a fresh acrylic crystal, which I'll install using the crystal lift. Now I'll get this band installed to finally finish the job. One final check on the full 30-minute range of the chronograph. I hope you all learned something from this video today, and if not, I hope you at least found it enjoyable. Thanks for fixing watches with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.